Canada has already beginning working towards a target of 3.5% of GDP by 2035. By expanding our plan to invest in the Canadian Armed Forces, to modernize our military equipment and technology, to help build up our own defense and security industries, as well as to diversify our defense partnerships. We're also working to ensure that we are spending 1.5% of our GDP in defense and security-related infrastructure. So that means ports, airports, infrastructure to support the development and exportation of critical minerals, telecommunications, and emergency preparedness systems. These investments serve our defense as well as protecting the readiness and resilience to protect Canadians. At the core of our defense investment, of course, are the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces. And as I speak to you today, Canadian troops are participating in NATO deterrence and defense missions across Central and Eastern Europe, as well as building capacity in the Middle East. As part of Operation Reassurance, Canada is leading a 14-nation strong multinational brigade with over 2,000 Canadian Armed Forces in Latvia. We're working with our allies and partners across Europe to train Ukrainian soldiers who are defending their homeland from Russia's illegal and barbaric invasion. These are the women and men we are investing in. The forces we will expand with new incentives and new recruitment efforts. Le Canada renforcera également ses capacités industrielles grâce à une stratégie vigoureuse et des partenariats internationaux. Lundi, lors du sommet Canada-Union européenne, nous avons conclu le nouveau partenariat de sécurité et de défense entre le Canada et l'Union européenne. Ce partenariat est la première des deux étapes menant à la participation du Canada à l'initiative Agir pour la sécurité en Europe, un instrument du plan REARM Europe. Cela nous permettra d'atteindre nos objectifs plus rapidement et à moins coût. Canada does have enormous industrial capacity, but that will grow significantly. As our allies seek to increase their military readiness, they will buy more equipment and technology made in Canada by Canadian workers in shipyards, in labs, and shop floors right across our country. We'll make the drones, the icebreakers, the aerospace technologies, and much more that's needed to build a more secure world. Par la suite, au sommet du G7 à Kananaskis, j'ai annoncé des nouvelles mesures pour appuyer la souveraineté et la sécurité à long terme de l'Ukraine. Nous avons mis en place de nouvelles sanctions visant le régime russe, sa flotte fantôme et ses revenus liés à l'énergie, ainsi que les individus qui facilitent et tirent profit des atrocités commises par le Kremlin. Nous fournissons à l'Ukraine 2 milliards de dollars en financement supplémentaire et nous lui offrons aussi un prêt de 2,3 milliards de dollars qui l'aidera à rebâtir ses infrastructures, ses services publics et sa société civile. Canada is helping to ensure, and through our discussions, I'm very pleased with the discussions and how they evolved, that the new NATO targets, at 5% of GDP, those new NATO targets, are tailored to address new threats and challenges, and that the capabilities required to meet this moment have been the driving factors for those targets. Importantly, the trajectory and the balance of the new NATO defense pledge will be reviewed in 2029 to ensure that the commitments align with the global security landscape.
Canada is about to spend more on the military than we've spent on healthcare transfers to the provinces. We are talking $150 billion a year. That's more than double that we give out for healthcare, education, equalization, you name it. They're calling it just 5% of GDP. But what we're not hearing is what we're going to lose in order to make this happen. So what triggered this? NATO just updated their rules. The goal is for every country to spend 5% of their GDP on defense. That 5% breaks down into two big piles. One chunk is 3.5%, which goes straight into the obvious stuff like jets, weapons, salaries, submarines, and military training. That's about $107 billion a year. Then there's another 1.5%, which ends up being around $43 billion. Now this is allocated for what they're calling defense-related infrastructure. So this is for things like ports, Arctic roads, airfields, or even highways to access critical mineral projects. Anything that could have a military use gets to be part of this second category. Now, Mark Carney is saying all of this is necessary. He's talking about the Arctic melting, China and Russia pushing harder, cyber attacks, AI, and quantum warfare. According to him, geography isn't protecting us anymore. We are much too exposed. So we've got no choice. We have to pay up. But here's the thing. This isn't just about safety. It's also about politics and money. Because this isn't just about defense. It's about carving up the budget and deciding who gets less. Please hit that like button if you're watching, and if this kind of breakdown matters to you, please subscribe and turn on notifications. It tells the algorithm this stuff is important and we need more eyes on it. All right, so right now, Canada's not even spending the old NATO target of 2%. We've been dragging our feet for decades, but this 5% target is beyond ambitious. As a matter of fact, it's actually completely wild. Carney says we'll get there by 2035 if everything goes according to plan. But with defense spending, things rarely do go according to plan. Let's break down the math. Our federal budget is about $400 billion. If $150 billion of that goes to defense spending, that's almost 40% of our entire annual spending. This is bigger than the old age security. It's bigger than healthcare transfers. It's the single biggest line item in the whole federal budget. And that will mean major trade-offs. Carney's already said it. If we move to higher defense spending, we'll have to make choices about what the federal government can no longer do. So the plain English translation is there will be cuts. Less money for social programs, less money for provinces, money reallocation. So let's zoom in on what this 5% is actually buying. Top of the list is fighter jets, the F-35s. That contract review is wrapping up this summer. That alone is billions. Then there's submarines. We've got 4 oceans to defend: the Atlantic, Pacific, Arctic, and pretty exposed north. But there's only one working submarine right now. By 2028, we're supposed to buy a whole new fleet. That's another multi-billion-dollar project. And that's just the hardware. Our armed forces are still dealing with staffing shortages, old gear, and a backlog in procurement and infrastructure that's literally falling apart. Now, don't forget, Canada's military has basically become our emergency team at home. Talk about wildfires, floods, disasters. When stuff hits the fan, we send in the Canadian Armed Forces. So this isn't just about fighting Russia or prepping for war. It's about being able to function as a country when stuff breaks down. But here's the twist. The government's not just pitching this as defense. They're also selling it as an economic strategy. Roads to mining sites, ports for shipping critical minerals, even Arctic highways to new industrial sites. They all count as part of this spending, and it is considered military spending because it could help move troops or supplies if needed. So Carney's bundling it all together: defense, economic growth, industrial policy. I mean, he's not completely wrong. Canada does need modern infrastructure. Our ports are a total mess. Our airports are so outdated. Supply chains are super delicate. So if we can kill two birds with one stone, maybe people won't push back as hard. But here's the part that nobody wants to say out loud. You don't spend $150 billion a year without cutting something else. Not when it's 40% of our spending budget. And no, it's not going to come from corporate tax hikes. It's coming from us, from the provinces, from regular people who need services. Take this in. We currently spend $103 billion on transfers to the provinces. That's for healthcare, equalization, education, social programs, all of it. The new military commitment, it's larger than all of those transfers combined. So what gives? Are we pulling back federal support to provinces? Are we going to download services again like we did in the 90s? Or is this all going on the national credit card? Because let's be honest, our deficit isn't exactly tiny right now. Are we just going to borrow this money and hand it to defense contractors? And that brings up another big issue: procurement. Defense procurement in Canada is notoriously slow, inefficient, and riddled with delays. And this time, we don't have time to waste. If this money isn't spent well, we're going to end up broke and unprepared. Let's be clear, this isn't some we'll see in 10 years kind of thing. Public opinion is moving. A year ago, barely 25% of Canadians supported spending more on defense. And right now, it's over 50%. And 17% say we should go beyond the 2% NATO minimum. Why? Well, because everybody is scared. Russia's in Ukraine, Iran and Israel are battling it out, China's eyeing Taiwan, the Arctic's opening up, cyber attacks are exploding, AI is rewriting the rules of warfare, and let's not pretend Trump doesn't matter in all of this. This 5% target is designed to keep him happy. And if we don't meet it, he's already said he'd let Russia do whatever the hell they want. That's not hypothetical. That's a direct quote. So the issue here is, even if we do spend all of this money, even if we hit the 5% target, there's really no guarantee that we'll be safer. Because safety isn't just about having weapons. It's about stability, diplomacy, foreign policy, infrastructure resilience. We're putting all of our eggs in the buy more weapons basket without a real national security strategy behind it. That's what experts are warning about. David Perry from the Canadian Global Affairs Institute pointed out that the speeding ramp up we're talking about is like what we did in World War II. Carney even hinted, this is the biggest military investment we've made since the Cold War. But guess what? Back then, we had an actual strategy, a game plan, allies with long-term vision. And now it seems like we're kind of just winging it. So what happens next? There's a review plan for 2029. But let's be honest, 5 years is a long time in politics. By then, Trump could be gone or back in charge. Putin could be out or stronger than ever. The Arctic could even be more accessible. AI could be running battlefield decisions. Everything is changing so rapidly. And this new NATO target, it's not going away. This 5% commitment is a turning point. It's going to change how Canada spends, how we defend ourselves, and honestly, how we function as a country. It could be smart, bold, and long overdue. Or it could be a runaway train that crashes through our social safety net. Either way, we can't afford to not pay attention. Folks, if you found this video useful and informative, please kindly hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications and smash that like button if you think Canadians deserve to know where their money is going. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around, and have a great day.